Hey YouTube family, welcome to another episode of 2A in LA. And if you haven't checked out the prior episodes, make sure you go back, check them out, like, subscribe, and most definitely comment. All right, today is going to be a great episode. And before we get started, I want to remind all of you guys that everything that I say in this past episodes and future episodes is just my personal opinion. It is not fact. It is not law. Always do your own research and draw your own conclusions. Okay, with that said, let's get it going. Because like I said, we have an epic battle today between the M&P Shield and the Glock 19. Now, before we get too far into this video, just know that both weapons are clear. All right, safe and clear. Right, empty mag. Okay, so let's get it going. We're going to break this down by several different categories. We're going to pick a winner in each category, and then we're going to select an overall winner. The categories that we're going to be looking at for each weapon is affordability, reliability, accuracy, capacity, aesthetics, how comfortable it is to carry, aftermarket support, how it fits in the hands, and of course, the X factor. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's start off with affordability. The M&P Shield retails at about $505, but if you get it with the high-vis sights, it's more like $540. Very affordable firearm, particularly considering how good the gun is overall. The Glock 19 MSRP is at $599. And once again, very affordable, particularly considering how good the gun is. Now, keep in mind that for this category and all other categories, I'm basing it on the out-of-the-box cost and the out-of-the-box features. Obviously, these two guns have been, customized to suit my particular needs, but our focus is what you get right out of the box, okay? So, at $540 with the high visibility sights and for the M&P Shield, and $599 for the out-of-the-box price for the Glock, in my opinion, it's a wash. Both weapons are outstanding weapons, both between $500 and $600. I'm not going to declare a winner over a few bucks, so we're going to call affordability a dead heat tie. All right? Now, on to reliability. I have put over 1,000 rounds through both of these weapons without a single malfunction. They just run. Glock is known for its reliability, as is the M&P model. I can honestly say that from a reliability perspective, both of these are excellent. And I've ran quality ammo through them and cheap ammo, because sometimes in these days you have to shoot what you can find. And I've never, like I said, never had a malfunction. Reliability, both of these weapons are excellent. Again, we've got another tie. All right, next category, accuracy. Which one is the straightest shooter? Now look, in my opinion, accuracy, like beauty, is often in the hands of the shooter. However, some guns are straighter than other guns. But relative to these both, I will not say that they're excellent, but they are both very good shooting guns. If you can shoot, you're going to have good results with these two. And so again, I know it seems like there's a lot of ties, but it's only because these weapons are both really good weapons. So by accuracy, I'm going to call this a draw. So we're 3 categories in, and we're in a dead heat between these two guys. Now, let's start to talk about where some separation takes place. Capacity. The M&P Shield comes with 8 rounds right out of the box, which is fine for an everyday carry gun. However, this bad boy right here, 15 rounds. And that's just assuming you're in a free state, unlike California where I'm at. But if you're in a free state, 15 rounds with the Glock 19. That is great capacity for everyday carry weapon, okay? So Glock 19 gets the edge over the M&P Shield with 7 additional rounds under capacity. And for the first time in any of the categories, we have one of the guns taking a lead. All right, let's go on to the next category, aesthetics, how the gun looks. Now look, I realize that both of these guns are really good looking guns in their current configuration. However, we're talking about right out of the box. Which one has the better look right out of the box? And while we all want to say that dating a supermodel isn't important to us, it's all about the personality, we know that's not true. So, which gun is going to turn the most heads right out of the box? The answer is the Shield. The Shield is a very attractive gun. Even with none of the extras on it right out of the box, it's a good looking firearm. Glocks out of the box unchanged are kind of blah. They're kind of meh, right? They're very boxy kind of guns, super reliable, whatever, and they're tools, so they don't need to be sexy. But if you're looking for sexy, if that's something that's important to you, and how the gun looks is important to a lot of people, the M&P Shield gets the nod. All right, so just when you thought Glock was pulling out there, M&P Shield is pulled back even in the aesthetics category. Now, let's talk about comfort to carry. Because look, at the bottom line, if the gun is uncomfortable to carry, either in appendix position, on your side, or maybe at your 4 o'clock, you're not going to carry it. And if you're not going to carry it, it defeats the purpose of having the weapon for protection, right? So how comfortable a gun is to carry is critical, should be critical in your decision about what weapon you're going to choose. And I have concealed carry both these weapons multiple times, and both of them are very good concealed carry weapons. Neither is overly large, neither is overly heavy. But this is about which one is better, right? And if I had to say it, I'm going to give the nod once again to the M&P Shield. The Glock 19 is a little bit bigger. Like if you look from the back, you see it has the M&P is a much more narrow gun. It's not as thick, right? It's not as quite as long. Let's put those back to back. You can see it's not quite as long. It is a more compact weapon, which makes it easier to conceal. So again, here I have to give the nod to the M&P Shield. So wow, boom, just like that, the M&P Shield is taking the lead in the race. But we're not done yet. We've got a few more categories to look at. All right, let's talk about aftermarket support. Now, there is quite a bit of aftermarket support for the M&P Shield. As you can see, I've redone a lot of things here relative to the weapons light, the high-vis sights, the trigger, the extended mag release, the extended magazine. So obviously there are aftermarket support out there, and there are additional aftermarket support for some of the internals as well. But there is no aftermarket support for any manufacturer that is better than Glock. It is not even close, ladies and gentlemen. Glock is lapping the field when it comes to aftermarket support. Some manufacturers are getting better because they've had platforms that have survived over the test of time. And so people who are producing aftermarket parts are definitely coming around and providing support for them, but nothing like the Glock platform. And so when it comes to aftermarket support, Glock gets the nod. All right, so now we've got a tie. We're in a dead heat, and we've got 2 more categories to go. Next category, fit in hand. How does the gun fit in your hand? If the gun isn't comfortable to shoot, if it's not long enough in the grip, if the grip is not thick enough or it's too thick, then you're not going to be as accurate as you could be, and you're not going to feel as comfortable shooting the gun as you normally would shoot. So I can tell you that both of these guns are good. If you look at the M&P Shield, you can see that with the extended magazine, I've got pretty large hands. And you know what they say about large hands, large hands, large hands. So it's a pretty good magazine. With the extended magazine, I can get a pretty good grip. It's very comfortable to shoot. I don't have any issues with the gun. Same thing, I've got an extended mag on the 19. Even with my big paws, still plenty of space. However, if you look at the grips on the two, you'll see that the 19 is meatier. And because I have big hands, I like it better. It fits my grip better, a little bit better than the M&P Shield. M&P Shield is fine, but for me personally, the Glock's a little bit better. Now, this is one of those things where this isn't the battle of my everyday carry. This is the battle of everyone's everyday carry. So if you've got smaller hands, this gun is probably gonna, the M&P Shield is probably gonna serve you a little bit better. If you've got big paws like me, you're probably gonna want the 19. And so here, I have to give it a tie because it all depends on you. And this is why one person's everyday carry may not be another person's everyday carry. And so I'm gonna give it a tie. I'm gonna say if you've got smaller hands, the Shield, bigger paws, go for the 19, all right? But that leaves us in a dead tie going into the last category. So, what is the last category? The last category is X factor. What's that one thing that kind of maybe sets the two guns apart? In this case, I'm going to say it's the platform. The Glock platform just has so many options. You got interchangeable clips with the 17 and the 19. We already talked about kind of the aftermarket support. It's parallel to none. Accessibility to other parts. And like I said, just the depth of the Glock platform is kind of unparalleled. The M&P Shield is good, but it's not the Glock. And so for that, for the battle of the 2A NLA everyday carry battle for supremacy, the winner is the Glock 19. All right? So look, I hope you liked the content. I hope you appreciated the information. I hope you found it entertaining. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Look, if you disagree with me, if you think the Shield is eating the Glock's lunch, let me know that. I want to hear it. Is there another gun that you think is better than both of these for everyday carry? Let me know that too. Until next time, treat each other well. 2A NLA out. Peace.